In part 1, we explored the basics of the Dropshot rig and the science behind how it works. Now, let's break down the ideal gear setup for Dropshot fishing. First up, the hooks. Their size and shape are essential. Depending on your target and the size of your soft plastic bait, choosing the right hook is key to achieving a clean presentation and a solid hook set. Take a look at the two distinct types of hooks we have here. The hooks in the top row are typically used for the Dropshot rig to maximize natural lure action. The hooks on the bottom row are designed to avoid snagging when fishing heavy cover or thick vegetation, or to rig specific plastic worms. Dropshot hooks are excellent for triggering bites and securing clean hook sets, but ultimately, choosing the right hook depends on your fishing conditions. Now that you've selected the right hook for your situation, the next step is the bait. The foundation of Dropshot fishing is using slim, straight-style worms, typically 3 to 5 inches long, to maximize natural movement underwater. But as you know, there's no single correct way to fish. Personally, I prefer the minnow-style worm shown at the top. There's no need to limit an angler's creativity. Depending on the situation, trying out different worm shapes can be a great idea. How you attach your soft plastic worm is critical to the Dropshot's success. For most Dropshot fishing, you'll be using a Dropshot hook and a technique called nose hooking. Simply pass the hook through the very tip of the worm's head, right at the nose. This rigging style is key to maximizing action. By barely securing the bait, the entire body is left free to flutter and dance in place with the slightest movement of your rod. It's the most natural and productive way to rig a Dropshot. There's also another method called the Wacky Style. Just hook the worm through its center. You can reference my Wacky Jig video on the channel for a full breakdown. However, as mentioned earlier, if you're fishing in heavy cover or thick weeds, you'll need to switch to an offset wide gap hook and rig your bait weedless. Dropshot Sinkers don't drastically change your rig's performance, but their shape can subtly affect how your bait behaves depending on terrain and presentation style. The three most commonly used types are cylinder, round, and teardrop. Cylinder sinkers sink quickly, hold a vertical line well, and avoid snags. Round sinkers offer better bottom feedback and work smoothly when dragging. Teardrop sinkers transmit action effectively and stay stable across different depths. Understanding these three shapes is enough to handle most Dropshot situations. Let me explain the physics of this rig a little deeper. You set a 1-foot gap, but the bait height constantly changes, as you can see. The farther you cast, the more the line angles down, and the bait sits lower, sometimes even touching the bottom. To make your bait stand up and dance, you need to keep your rod high and maintain steep line tension. Understanding this helps you control your rig more precisely. When choosing a sinker, start light, just enough to touch bottom. It keeps your bait moving naturally and helps detect subtle bites. For depths under 20 feet, 1/8 ounce is common, light, responsive, and still gives bottom feedback. Heavier sinkers, like 1/2 ounce or more, can reduce sensitivity when fish are timid. But in strong current or deeper water, heavier weights help stabilize your line and improve bite detection. There's no fixed rule. Adjusting based on depth, current, bait, and line is the smart approach. All right, many anglers prefer pairing a no-stretch braided main line with a fluorocarbon leader to maximize sensitivity and deliver hook set power without loss. I typically use a 10-pound braid with an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader, but in certain conditions, going lighter can be an advantage. On open water with little cover, even a 6-pound leader can be more than enough. Thinner lines not only boost sensitivity, they also reduce the chance of bass detecting your setup, which can directly improve your catch rate. And above all, lighter tackle just makes fishing more fun and exciting. Dropshot rigs tend to use up leader line fairly quickly, so when tying your leader to the main line, starting with a longer length, around 6 feet, lets you re-rig hooks and sinkers later without needing to replace the entire leader. Dropshot fishing is all about finesse. I prefer a spinning setup. It's more efficient for controlling slack line and subtle worm movement. Of course, heavy Dropshot rigs can also be paired with bait casting gear. The most important piece is the rod. A fast action rod is essential, ideally with medium or medium-light power. This combination helps detect subtle bites and delivers solid hook set power, even with light line. For the reel, I typically use a 2000 or 2500 size spinning model. Longer rods tend to perform better, depending on your fishing conditions. Since this setup relies on thin line, the reel's drag system needs to be smooth and reliable. Within these basic principles, use the rod and reel that feel right for you. Alright, that wraps up the ideal gear setup for Dropshot. In the final video, we'll take a closer look at how to actually fish this rig, how to detect bites and handle them properly.